is going to be training us today. He's mostly going to have everyone do hands-on training, which means he's going to train by having you into your schedule. And so if there's any way we can help each other out, I would like to do that. So, okay, so before we get started, pray for us, and then we'll have Louis take us off. Lord God, I just really thank you again for this time, this morning, that we can come together as a body of believers, the arms and legs of the church, Lord, and maybe just the ears. But really, Lord, we thank you for allowing us to serve together in this way through AV, Lord. And I just pray that through this training that we'll be able to help each other and to communicate better and find a better flow for how to make our church sound better, Lord. So just really thank you again for this time, and be with those who are on their way, and that they'll arrive safely. And yeah, we'll just have a good time and just learn as much as we can, Lord. And in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I don't have anything like formally planned, but why don't I go over some of the equipment that we use and why we use them. So I'm gonna grab some stuff in the back, and then I'll just kind of go over that.
Oh, you want to do pro presenter first?
Oh, you want to do?
Yeah, do pro presenter first, and then what you want to do.
Yeah, I'd rather just do that first.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you. I can take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So Eric, you're gonna be recording stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna set up a microphone and a stand and some cabling for a person who wants to be on stage and wants to sing, all right? So we have, of course, the mic, and we have a mic cable. Okay, so how do I know it's a mic cable? Anyone guess? Yeah, the connectors, okay? So this connector is called an XLR connector, right? It has two ends, a male and a female. It has 3 prongs, right? So when someone says they need an XLR cable, there's only one. It's this one, okay? And the only difference is maybe just the length. So this one will only connect to the microphone, okay, not to instruments or anything else, okay? So let's set up this. So I'm gonna have you set up the whole stage later, because I know we have Brian and yeah, we have a team that's going to be here tomorrow. It only flows in one direction, right? So it flows from the female end out towards the male end, right? It only fits in one direction, right? So the microphone, it only fits the female end. So plug that in. It locks on both ends. So if you want to release it, you'll have to hit the little switch. Okay. Stand. Okay. And the other end will go into one of the connectors that are on the floor on the stage. So which one that is, it's kind of up to you, but if you're in the English, we kind of have a kind of dedicated space for each of the instruments, each of the singers, so that every week it's pretty much the same thing. And I think that's what you kind of want to do is you want to set up the stage so that you can reproduce it every single week, so that you don't have to like fumble about like where to stand, where to put the connections, so that you don't have to like remember anything. So for the main singer, we have the connector. I mean, the place where we connect it is up here in the front. That's it. So that's just for a singer who needs a microphone. We try to kind of go away from using like wireless mics, because wireless mics, there's like it could run out of batteries, there can be interference, and it might not sound good. So if you have a wired mic, it'll never run out of batteries. It'll always be connected and it'll always work. Okay, so let's go over some mics. So there's two types of mics. There's that one called the dynamic, and then there's this one called the condenser. Okay. For our purposes here, we'll just go by, we use a dynamic mic if someone is singing, right? And we'll use a condenser mic if you want to mic something like an instrument. Okay? So like the piano will have a condenser mic. Right? If you do something like Melody plays a violin, we'll use a condenser mic for her violin. Everything else who's singing, we'll use a dynamic mic. Okay? And I think that's enough for me to learn in terms of like mics. Don't want to go too far into that. So why don't we have some of you go set up some mics and stands? Okay. So let's just grab maybe like 3 more mic stands. Just 3 more. Here with the hooks. So all the XLR and all the 1/4-inch cables are on this side. We'll have music stands up here on hooks. We'll have the guitar stands on hooks. And the microphones will be on this shelf along with like the DI boxes. And then lastly, we have the mic stands in this corner. So so we try to like keep stuff out of the way, like these bigger stuff, so we kind of put in the back so people can walk back and forth. So like the guitar stand would be like, you should move it back there. It's out of the way. And that's it. Alright. Just use the clips, and then that'll just make it look better. So I noticed that like if you twist the cable around the stand, it'll end up twisting the cable itself and the wire, and then it'll start to get all twisty in the back when you start to store it. So you just want to leave it as like flat as possible, so it'll end up like looking like this all the time, you know, because you want it really to like flat, right, and not have the twists and stuff. It could be like that, but it really depends on who's singing, which mic sounds best for their voice. So maybe like a female voice might sound better here or here. So it's up to you to kind of figure that out. But I've noticed that this one is mainly for women. Yeah. Right? And then we'll have people who play instruments, right? And instruments don't have this kind of connector. What kind of connector is this again? XLR, okay. Instruments have a thing called a 1/4-inch connection, right? Like this. And 1/4-inch describes like the size of the end, right? So you know you have your headphones, right? Your headphones are like, they're called the 1/8 jack, right? They're the smaller ones. This is basically a bigger version of that cable, right? So Brian, can you get your guitar out?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. A keyboard, an acoustic like that, a bass, right? They'll have this kind of a connector, right? But this kind of connector can, like the board in the back really only talks this language, this XLR language, right? And it doesn't fit, right? So how do we make this go to that, right? Since the mixture only talks in this language here, right? This kind of connection. This is my connection. But the guitar, like the keyboard, the bass, they only talk in this kind of a connection. Right? So we need a way to get this to that, right? And we have this thing in the back called a DI box. There's an end that this connection goes into, right? 1/4 inch one. And on the other end, there's this end, right? It's the XLR cable. This end. So it actually just flows from this way to that way. So it goes, something goes in and then it comes out this way. And so that's how we convert something that's like, that has a 1/4 inch connection into the XLR connection. And that's probably the only way here that we can do that, right? So if you have any instrument that you want to have the mixer control, you need to do this kind of a setup. Okay? There you go. So he plugs into there, right? And then I plug into here. For our purposes here, it doesn't matter which one you plug into. Any one's fine. Okay? And then we can take an XLR cable, right? And then plug it up. That's it, right? So all the instruments, at least for the English, they get plugged into a channel. Someone plays guitar, that's another channel, right? Bass, another channel. Keyboard, another channel. So every single thing that you want to control in the mixer needs to have its own channel.
So you said that the instruments usually come out of either that one or this one?
Yeah. Let's see.
And for our purposes, it really doesn't matter which one of these holes we put
Yeah.
into?
It says in and out, but like it's parallel, so it does both at the same.
The one on your hand.
Could I use this one?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
Let's just we'll just practice just like setting it up. So stuff like the bass, it might be special where they actually want to use their bass amp, right? And that's where the other hole in that DI box comes into play. So if you want to use the amp, right, you'll use another 1/4 inch cable here, and you plug that from here into there.
So which,
Does it matter?
Then
Like,
it has sound from both. And the
Yeah.
mixer only controls the speakers.
Yeah. So they use that basically as a monitor.
so which one does it actually go into?
So it depends on the kind of bass you have. So that's on the bass player to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't matter where you plug it in as long as you know
The number.
the number, right?
Okay, I see.
So they're all the connections are the same. They're all the XLR connections.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter what you plug into them.
As
It's
long as you remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll check out the mixer. Yeah.
One more question. Can you set up the piano also?
Sure. Okay. It's fairly easy. You just how I like to set it up is it's just it's not open. So just the stand, and then it's just my. That's it.
Wait, can I ask about the P16? Are they actually working?
Yeah, they work.
They work? Okay, so we just need to plug in the headphones in there?
Oh,
and
so this one you can either use the headphones or you can use the this speaker here. Or that speaker.
then- Oh,
yeah.
okay. But this is for the piano, right?
That's for just that. It isn't
No.
necessarily for the piano, but it's just for that.
Oh, okay, I see
You
what
can
you're
be
saying.
whomever you want. So that you just need to turn it on, the amp, which is I think it is on, and then it'll control it.
Okay.
So we can set it up in the back, and I'll show you how it's
Okay,
set up.
cool.
Whatever's on the stage into those speakers, right? So how do we do that? How do we like translate like, you know, acoustical energy into some sort of like, you know, electrical energy or electrical signals into like another acoustic energy to the speakers, right? So how we do that is using the mixer, okay? So there's this chain that we look at when we were back here, right? So the chain starts from the source, okay? The source could be someone's voice, it can be an instrument, it can be like an iPod or whatever it is, right? So some sort of source. And that source is translated, right, into some sort of electric signal, right? And it's sent down the line into the mixer. The mixer does something with it, right? Sends another electric signal into a thing called an amp, and the amp goes to the speakers. So that's the chain, right? And along that chain, right, we want to be sure that we're getting the best signal from the beginning to the end. Because anything that like, right, you know that the phrase like, you know, the chain is as strong as the weakest link, right? So if there's anything that's like distorted or it's like the signal is weak at the end, it won't sound good, right? So let's say like the source, right? If a person is singing, but the person is singing super quietly and just not like doing a good job singing, right? There's nothing that we could do back here that will really help them, right? Because you're trying to make something that sounds bad, just maybe sound bad a little louder, right? It's just not gonna really do anything, right? So yeah, it's not gonna do anything. You just turn down, right? So so stuff like people who are singing, who are speaking, right? They need to be in a good position, right? In front of the mic, speaking in a good voice, like having the mic in a good position, right? Then it'll produce a good signal, right? So, so having whatever is on stage be at its best makes this person's job a lot easier, okay? Like a lot easier. You do a lot less work back here. So, how do we know if we're getting like a good signal, right? Or a good source, right? So we look at what the mixer is telling us. So I'm going to turn it on right now, and then maybe we'll have Brian maybe either play or just sing a little bit. Okay? Okay. So, are you plugged in to the? No, I mean the other end. Is the other end plugged in to the floor?
I plugged it into B1.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now we have a source, the guitar, right? And they're plugged into B1, which is number 5 here. Okay. So each one of these numbers is a channel, right? So we have 48 channels, right? So each one controls something that's on the stage. Okay? So what at the English, everything's kind of labeled here already, and then we kind of don't deviate that far from it. So if this is guitar, it's probably going to be plugged into a guitar, right? So we don't want to like move away from that. So you can play a little bit. So what does that look like on the mixer? So if you look at number 5, you'll notice that there's like a little green thing that's right there, right? Right? So this is a meter, right? So that tells you what kind of a signal that's coming in. Okay? Just by looking at this, right? Do you think that's a good signal or a bad signal? Why would you say it's bad?
Not strong enough.
Flickering and it's warm. It's warm.
Okay. I guess that's okay, right? So it's probably a weak signal, right? So on this mixer, right, where you want to be in terms of the signal is somewhere in the middle, okay, which is minus 18, right? That's where you want whatever source is out there to be coming in at, right? So just play normally, Brian. Just play regular. Just play at a normal volume or whatever. Okay. So right now, if you look at it, it's just steady at 60. Okay. So if we wanted to, let's say, like have it go out to the speakers, you might not be able to hear it, right? So we got to get that signal to a place where the mixer, right, wants that signal to be, and that's at the minus 18-ish, okay? So that means that on this chain, it's coming in a little bit too low, okay? If that's as loud as that thing can get, then it's a little too low. So the mixer has this thing called a preamp, right? It has an amp in it that will actually take that signal, or whatever signal that's coming in, and bring it up to a point where the mixer can understand it, right? So how does that do that? So if you select the channel, which is number 5, you select it by pressing the SEL button on the channel, right? And you go up here to the HA, which is called the head amp on this particular board, and that controls what's called the gain. Okay, so the gain is like the first door that comes in when a signal comes into the mixer, right? The gain adds more or less signal to whatever's coming in so that the mixer can understand it. Okay, so he's coming in at like, minus 40 or something, and we want it to be at like a minus 18. So how do we make that up, right? So we use the amp to make that up. So we turn to the right to add more gain, or turn to the left to lessen the gain, right? So if we turn the gain to the right, it'll start to come up. It's right here, right? So it'll start to come up a little more. So right there, it's 18. It's like hovering around 18 now, right? So we keep turning it until it gets to be around there. And that's where you want all the signals that are coming in to be at this level, right? So they're all about the same, right? Okay. So that's where you need to start when you're doing like your sound checks or whatever. You want to start that. Make sure that every signal that's coming in is set at the right level. Otherwise, you're gonna do too much trying to do other things, trying to lower or the faders or whatever. If you have everything kind of set at the right level, the mixing is just a lot easier, right? You can just lower a little bit here, and then it'll make the difference a lot more apparent. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, please.
Why do you want to put it at 18?
So 18 for this mixer is like the unity. So that's like at the 0 point. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's just for this mixer, for digital mixers like this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So next along the chain. Yeah, it's a little too complex. Okay. So next along the chain, we'll kind of jump into the fader. Okay. So it'll go through the head amp, right, which is the gain, right?
Wait. Sorry. Can you go back? How do you get from the startup screen into the screen?
Oh, okay. So for the mixer, you press number 11. So you select the channel that you want.
Okay.
All right. And
After I select it and press 11?
Yeah, just press 11. It'll toggle between this
Oh,
screen.
toggle,
yeah,
okay.
And the 8.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do both things. You can do anything without the screen changing.
Okay.
You can just select it and just use the
Okay. I see. As long as you select that channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you can do it, you have 5 here. You can just change it here.
Okay.
Right. It's still selected. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But 11 definitely.
So
can
11
get you-
just basically replicates this out here.
Okay, I see. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
So along the chain, it actually goes through a lot of other stuff along the chain, but maybe that's beyond this training. Okay, so it'll go into this thing called a fader, right? This fader, and everyone knows what have seen this, right? This is like the volume slider, right? Essentially, right? So what the fader actually is not like a volume. It's not adding anything, you know. When you see someone like do this, like you think they're like making it louder, but it's actually you're actually not adding more. You're just allowing more to flow. Okay. So when it's at 0, right, you're just letting anything that's coming in, you go out untouched in terms of signal, right? So it's 100%. Through the fader, it's 100%, right? So if you bring it down, it'll just shrink it. So it's not. So if you go from the bottom up here, not adding anything to it, right? So you're basically just cutting. Yeah, that's what the fader really does. So so how I kind of like to do it is that once you have the good gain, right, you can leave it at 0, right, and it should be at the right volume, the right level. And then after that, after everything's set up, we do sound check. When we do like leveling, then you can start to move the level, and that's the level between the other instruments and other singers. Okay. One needs to be less, one needs to be more, or whatever. That's what the fader does. Okay, so you have like 2 guitars here, right? Oh well, one's the lead, one's the backup. So let's just bring the backup a little bit down, or whatever. Right? Or the bass is too loud, bring the bass down. That's what the fader will do, right? Okay. So after the fader, right, it'll get routed into the last fader, which is this mono fader. Okay. So it'll go from the stage to the head amp into the fader, this fader into this fader, right? And then finally that will go out to the speakers, right? So these two main faders, right? Or just this yellow one that goes out to that, we don't really touch. We just leave it at 0, and then we'll just use everything else to control the volume. Okay. So after it goes out to here, it'll hit the speaker amps, and then it'll just, it'll make noise out the speakers. Okay. So let's try that now. So how to turn on the speaker amp is right here. So this is the main speaker amp right here. This lab grouping, and the switch is right here.
So you pretty much just set everything on the mixer like to the level, and then you turn on the speaker.
So the reason why we do that is that if you have, let's say, the mixer on and the speaker amps on before you plug everything in, once you start plugging stuff in, it'll create all these like noise and these pops and stuff that may or may not like damage the speakers. So you just plug everything in first, right? You can turn on the mixer, but not the speaker amps, and you can just, you don't really need to hear it. You can just see the signal if it's correct, right? And you just set that up first, and then you can run that, and then it should be pretty close to what you need to be at the end. Yeah. Okay.
Speaker we have to worry about.
Okay, so there's speakers that go out to the audience, right? But there's also speakers you notice that are on the stage, right? And those are pointing at the stage. And those are called floor monitors, right? Those are there to help the people who are playing or singing to hear themselves sing or play. Okay? So how that is routed for our system, right, is that each channel can be routed into these things called mixes here, right? And this mixer has 16 mixes. Well, mixes is like it's kind of like it's like a bus, okay? So you can put a person or signal on this bus, and it'll go down a certain direction, right? And you can replicate it however many times you want, okay? So anyone can take any kind of bus. So the bus for this mix 1 will go into the speakers that are in the front.
Okay.
Okay. So we have 2 channels for the floor monitors in the front, I believe. Okay. 2. So you can either route a signal into the floor the mix 1, which is the ones in the front, and then mix 2, which is the one that's next to the keyboard. Okay. So if you want to have someone hear themselves in the speaker, you have to make sure that you select the channel that you want, and then you have to send that signal to the mix that you want.
Could you demonstrate that?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say he's playing the guitar now, right? So he wants to hear himself in the speaker in the front, right?
Right.
So I need to turn on this bottom one here. That powers the speakers in the front.
Okay. What about this one?
All
These-
4
these two?
speakers?
Oh, both. Okay.
No, just the two.
Just
two
the
in
2?
front, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So these 2 are for the sub amps. So you don't really need to know that right now.
Okay,
This is just the
okay.
bottom one. Okay. Okay. So if you look at channel 5, which is the guitar, right? If you look at mix 1 and 2, which is up here, right? 1 and 2, right? If you don't want any signal to go to them, it'll be at all the way to the left, which is at minus infinity here,
Okay.
right? So if you want to send some sort of signal to those speakers in the front, this is where you would send that. So whatever's coming in, you can route it to any of these mixes here, all the way down. Right? So the ones that are for the floor monitors in the front will be here. Hopefully it's that one. It's one of these 2.
So usually just turn both, right?
Yeah, if you want it for both of them, yeah. Yeah.
How do you route like that? So like how do you, so does that, I don't know how does,
It's always plugged in already?
It is always plugged in, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
like the guitar wants more of him. How
Mhm.
do you make that connection?
Okay,
Or,
so
do you
Like just the guitar.
yeah, so
touch the
So you select the channel that you want, which is the guitar, right? And then you adjust how much signal you want to be sent,
Oh, I see.
yeah, to that mix. Okay.
Piano would choose a different.
Yeah. So it's basically like what signal, and it's just like you can split it as many times as you want and send it to here, send it there, wherever you want. But just that for our setup is that number 1 will go to the speakers in the front, right? Okay.
There's only 2 mixes, you said?
For the floor monitors, yeah. Yeah.
With up to 16.
Did you
Up
also
to
say
16,
number 2 also?
Yeah, number 2 too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can go with this.
Yeah, we have 16 mixes, but there are other stuff that are reserved for doing other stuff. We have the possibility of 16, but we're using some of it already for other things.
But each monitor can get its own, or they're linked?
So the 2 in the front are linked, and then the one that's next to the keyboard is on its own.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a total of 3 floor monitors?
Yeah, so 3 floor monitors, yeah, and then there's actually one next to the piano, but that's run on a different system. Yeah. So hopefully, in the future, if we can get rid of the choir loft, we'll use like in-ear monitors, right? So we won't need any speakers in the front. We'll just have like headphones for everyone. But that's a dream.
Why?
Because because if you
be able to hear yourself.
because if you
No,
if you
I know
use
about the
in-ear,
IEM, but why is it a dream? Why can't we just change it to IEM?
because IM stuff is like it needs to be more permanent, like because it's very tedious to like set up and put down, right?
Oh, true.
So if we don't have anywhere to put it, then it's like it's just difficult to set up all the time. So that's just kind of like logistical limitability. So if we remove the choir loft, then we can have like more stuff on the stage, and we can have stuff that we can have the IMs just usually leave them on stage. You know, we can leave like stands on the stage. You can leave.
But
like,
for
little-
IM, we're just carrying like the wireless, not that wireless.
No, we don't have wireless. We
You're
have.
talking about the P16?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
it's not wireless. So
Mm.
yeah, so wireless would be too expensive.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how you get the signal. That's just like a kind of a general overview of like how do you get the signal from here through the amp, the gain, and through the fader, and then to the speakers, right? So if maybe something's no sound is coming out, you have to make sure that it's on. So red is on, or you know, if it's not red, then it's off. Okay. Okay. So let's maybe we can have someone practice. So I'll just kind of like reset something, and then we'll have Brian play, and then I want someone to kind of set him up so that he is at the right level and he's ready to go. So, someone. So he's at channel 5.
Okay.
Okay. So Brian, you play first.
Channel 5. Where is it?
Channel 5.
Channel 5.
Yeah. So channel 5.
It's on.
Okay. So I want to be able to hear him.
Select. Select. And then the gain.
So this is not select. This
Oh,
is select on top. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not this one. So yeah. Okay.
And
So you can see the signal, right?
right.
Right. So he has no signal at all. So you want to give him some sort of signal. Okay. So we're here. Yeah. Okay. That's okay.
But it's still less than
That's
18.
fine. So you can so right here.
Oh, okay.
L18. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now what do you want to do?
And now
So you have a good signal. So how do I make the sound go out?
the sound go out. It's a speaker.
So what was the signal? What was the signal? The chain again. The chain. The chain was what? From up there to the
Up there to the
gain, right?
to the gain
Yeah, the gain, and then after the gain, where?
and to the beta.
Yeah. So
Ah, I see. That's
there you go. Right. Let's go. Perfect. Okay. So someone else want to try?
So if in that case, because you're saying this is not actually to tune up the volume.
Mhm.
So if I want to like turn down the volume, which button should I use then?
Turn down? What do you mean?
Like for example, if he put that on 0, right,
Uh-huh.
it's too loud. So
Yeah, then you just bring it down. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Anyone else? Want to? So you can use that meter or you can use the Q meter. You can use that meter here, which is the in, or you can use that meter right there. So right in the middle would be 18.
What is the Q button for that?
I'm sorry?
The Q button?
Q. Okay, that Q basically lets you monitor, like put the monitor, the meter on that particular channel. So if you press Q, right, you can monitor that particular channel right there.
Oh, okay. So when you put Q, it's just reflect that on here.
I'm sorry?
When you press the Q, it's just reflect that channel on here.
Yeah. So it's really hot right now, right? That means you're putting too much gain into it. So you want wherever he's at his loudest, right around each note.
You want soft pop to give us metal. Give us metal.
There you go. Alright, so we're just like. Anyone else?
Yeah, so you have fades for the individual input channels,
Mhm.
obviously, and then can you explain how that fade's different? The one that you slid up here, and then why there's multiple.
I'm sorry?
So you have the individual instrument
Uh-huh.
or vocals
Uh-huh.
fade, and then you have a different fade here.
Uh-huh.
So can you differentiate what's going on here? Like, you know what I mean? Because you have individual channels here.
Yeah. These are
Okay.
still individual too.
Those, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought red was combined. Okay, so
Oh, no,
red,
no,
what is
yeah.
red?
Oh, that's just the color of the wireless mic.
Okay, those are wireless.
Yeah,
Okay.
those are wireless. Yeah. Yeah. So these are kind of reserved for the for the wireless mics here. This is for the computer. The drums are over here, and then all the pulpit stuff in the front right here.
Really?
Yes.
I also have a understanding that the gain
Mm-hmm.
usually set around 20, no more than 28.
So there's no like hard and fast rule for that. It's the gain is really set per channel, like however much you need per channel. Yeah. Because like whatever signal's coming in, like that's where you need to adjust it, and that's probably the most important thing you need to set is the gain, right? You have too much, right? It's too loud, and you get like distortion. You get feedback, right? If it's too little, you get no signal at all. You can hear anything, right? So you can't just say like, oh, at 20, and then we'll set it. No, it's based on whatever is coming in and how you adjust that. So that is probably one of the most important things to set in the beginning, so that you can control all the levels on the board and control stuff like feedback. Okay.
What if the way I set up right now, let's say, and I hear feedback,
Okay.
I'm gonna
So-
eliminate it.
So what is feedback?
It's like an echo.
Yeah. So it's something that there's a loop, right?
Okay.
There's a loop of a sound, right? And how do you? There's several ways to get rid of feedback. Okay. One is how they're standing on the stage,
Right.
right? Because if you're behind it, the sound is going that way,
Yeah.
right? And then it'll take forever to come
Back.
all the way back to the microphone,
To the microphone.
right? And that will eliminate a lot of the feedback. Okay, right? But let's say you can't avoid it, right? And it's they have to be like maybe close to the front or in line with the speaker, right? So you can fix some of that here, right? So feedback comes when you have too much gain, when you have too much of that white one. Okay, that means you're trying to bring up all this noise using the gain, right? All this noise that's like too quiet to hear, you're bringing it all the way up, right? And then once you bring it up, right, it starts to mess up everything else that you're trying to do, right? So you want to use the gain to a point where you don't get all this mess at the bottom, right? So when you change the gain, you're not just adding just the top part. You're doing the whole entire signal, right? So if you add more signal, you're also adding all the noise at the bottom too that you can't hear, right? And that's where that comes in. So when you hear feedback immediately, right? You can turn down the gain if you can't reposition them, right? Just to eliminate that, right? And then slowly bring it back up. Okay. And there's the last way, but that's a little bit more beyond this class. Remember how I said you want the signal to be at the right level, right? So his signal was too hot, was too high.
Okay.
So you want to bring it down so that's at the minus 18 again. All right. So if it's too hot, right? See, it'll start to it's just. So you just.
Is that the gain or the mix?
That's the gain. Yeah, that's the gain. So usually the feedback will come from having too much gain, by and large.
What's up with you? Arthritis? Yeah.
Okay.
We do the same if two microphones is getting they're getting too close together.
Yeah.
Also.
So yeah, that's also whoever is in charge of setting up the stage needs to know that as well. So you need to know like where to place the microphones on the stage to avoid feedback, right? Which is not having mics so close to each other, having mics too far forward, right? As kind of like a how to set up the stage. It's better if people are kind of on their own, right? So that they can hear themselves a little bit better because they're not interfering with other people, right? And then the mic interference, right? So you just kind of want everyone to be kind of on their own, if possible. Our stage is kind of very limited because there's only like a sliver of like real estate in the front, right? We don't have any depth, right? So it'd be better if we had like the louder instruments maybe in the back or whatever, so that the musicians can like be a little more comfy. Okay? Like effects, right? So what kind of effects that we have are like like reverb, like delay, like some other like compressors or whatever, right? And what we normally do here is just add a little reverb, and that's pretty much like really all you really need to know, because our room is pretty like flat and like there's no echo at all. So if you add a little reverb, they might sound a little better, right? So the main reverb is on ST-in1, right, which is the stereo channel right here. Okay. So how do we get a channel to get some reverb, right? So as it's coming in, there's no reverb at all, right? Reverb only comes out of this machine, right? So we need to blend the two, right? We have the dry channel, which is just him singing, right? And then we have a copy of his signal, right, going to this reverb computer, right? And that reverb computer adds the reverb and puts it back in, right? So like we did with the monitors, we have a mix, right? We send that signal to a mix, and that mix is number 13. Okay, so all the purple ones here are effects ones, are effects channels. Okay, so number 13. So that's our main reverb channel. Right. So we have number 20, right? We have, if you look at here, we have it sent already to that channel. Right there, you see it? It's at 0, right? Right. If it's not sent at all, it's at minus infinity. So we send it the full signal to number 13, which that is the reverb. Okay. So how do we know that? You can go to this thing called the rack right here, right? And the rack unit has mix 13 is where it's being sent from. So it's being fed from mix 13, which is that one, coming out and then into this channel here. Okay. So this, if you just listen to just this channel, right, it will just be the reverb. It won't have his dry signal at all. It'll just be the reverb. Okay, and then that will get mixed in together with this dry and the reverb, and it'll come out. So Brian, can you sing?
Yeah.
Twinkle, twinkle, little
So
star.
you turn it off, right? Keep going.
How I wonder.
So dry signal, right?
Right.
A, B, C, D,
Right.
E, F,
Right.
A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
And you can add more if you want.
Right.
And then it's like super like karaoke style, right?
Right. Horrible karaoke, the old style one,
Yeah,
like
right?
20 years ago. Right.
So you can use this fader to mix in how much you want his reverb to come in.
Okay. You also mentioned this channel. What is this then?
So this channel is like the reverb I have for like the instruments. So it's not on the same one.
So number 1 is for vocal, number 2 is for
That's just how I set it
okay.
up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you can set it up anywhere you want. You can change the reverb if you want. The different kinds of reverbs if you want. You can change whatever kind of like there's like different styles of reverbs you want. There's like delays. There's other things you can do. It's up to you. But just this one I have the RevX Hall, RevX Room. These sound pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of reverb, it sounds pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I will go to.
Yeah, so this one, like his guitar will have the reverb too from here. Yeah, just a little bit.
What does Q do?
Q, it allows you to meter the signal that you the channel that you're selected on. Yeah,
So it's the volume.
it's the signal. It's not the volume. Yeah, it's how much signal's coming in.
Mulan. Mulan.
Huh?
Mulan.
What about 3 and 4?
3 and 4 is
Mulan.
you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Oh, it's not connected?
It is connected, but you can change it whatever you want. It's not like it's set. So it's up to you to do whatever you want.
But these 3 and 4 control the
They do control like effects.
The
If you want to use effects, that's where they'll yeah.
I see.
So I mean, you can change whatever effect that you want. So there's 4 here, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, first on that.
Yeah, so, and you can change whatever effect that you want. But you have to send it to here. So if you want to use this open deck, right? Effect. So for his guitar, right? So you have to since there's nothing to send to it. Yeah. So if you want to use it, you have to send it there. So keep playing, Brian.
Sorry. 이게 다 발매예요.
So if you want, if it's just this one here. So, right, it adds like a really like thick layer to it. Yeah. So that's just a like a tape deck emulation. So like if you notice that maybe like the person who's singing has like a kind of like a thinner voice and you want to thicken up, you can add an effect, add some depth to their voice, make it sound different. You can do that. So there are ways to like manipulate kind of the way people sound, you know, to make them sound a little bit better or worse. I don't know, up to you. It's up to your taste. Yeah. Also the mics too will change the way that the voice sounds.
Right.
Yeah. So like these things down here will change like their really their warmth of the signal. It will really thicken them up if you use any of these. These are more like
Instruments really.
these I would. It actually it changes the voice quite a lot if you use them.
But like for this one, it's like
I don't know what that is. I don't know. There's some stuff that I don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I like review one more time?
Sure.
The order.
Signal. Okay, so it's the source, right? So it's either mic or instrument. It comes down the line, and then it'll hit the gain, the preamp, right, or the gain. For this training, we'll just say from here it'll go to the fader. Okay. From the fader, it'll go to this main fader, right? And then,
Where do the effects come in?
so the effects come in. So you need to send the signal to a mix, right? So if you want it to have the reverb, so you need to send the reverb channel, which is number 13. So take number 5. You'll send it to 13. Yeah. This is, I mean, if you want to really look at it, this thing is really like a fader too. Yeah, but it's just in this kind of a
So when you
form.
select this, it's already sent to automatically. But
It's always sent if you have yeah.
But it's your job
To turn it on, yeah. Turn it on or off. So if you want to add this reverb, you just add the signal. Yeah. And then to control the volume of the effects, it's these 4.
Do you want to keep this to 18 also, or just
So
anything?
this the mixes aren't on that same scale. Okay, it's
Right,
really weird.
right.
Okay, the scale is at -18 is basically 0 on this scale.
Right.
Yeah. So if you want the full untouched signal to go into the mix, right, it's at 0. So this is really like a fader, like this, right? This is 0 to minus and minus infinity, right? This is minus infinity. This is 0. That's basically like that, but in a rotary form. So if you want to send it to here, just send it all of it. Yeah.
So for channels 1 through 4, you would only use it for singing time, not for when there's a presider or anything?
Yeah. So reverb does not work if there's no music, okay? So if it's just speaking, you need to turn off the reverb or else it just sounds really fake and distracting. Yeah. So if you just want to turn it off, just hit the switch and it'll just come right off.
If it's off, it's still going in, right?
Yeah, it's still doing it, but you just can't hear it. Yeah.
But for singing like worship time, then
Are the speakers all the same? There's no control over the speakers, right? Yeah. It's just one signal. to
Yeah,
all of them.
one signal to all of them. We can, but that takes a little bit more like it's a different machine that takes care of that. But for us, it's just all the same. Yeah. Okay. So let's just do a practice. Let's you wanna play? Go up and let's do a little band.
Organ does not connect to anything.
Let's just get like a piano, keyboard, and Mel, you want to sing or something, right? And then we'll have you guys set up the whole band, yeah. And we'll do like a kind of rehearsal of that.
個琴咪要有個色咯，唔 hold 住教咗先，呢啲色上啦，色落去啦，跟住咧就係呢個去吉他，咁就左耳係啦，咁跟住就喺呢度就教。
I didn't even think you were Korean.
I
just out of nowhere, I was like, oh, what the hell? He's here.
That sounds great.
That's cool.
有啊。
Seeing Mark Ronson.
咁但係都係教咗18，跟住就推呢一個5號咪就係推佢嚟先。
Can play bass.
去到零。
就好啦。跟住如果覺得佢太大聲，就拉翻低少少。
呢個女仔唱係
You can't hear her. What if she plugged into 3?
So the two microphones right here, CT3, CT4, and his guitar is V1, and then the keyboard will play too. So you need to do. There's 4 things you need to do.
keyboard.
C3.
So you want to make sure you get the signal right for each one first before turning it on, and then
係啦係啦，先咗啦，而家就推喺呢度嚟。跟住就呢個。
keyboard is not on yet.
so just do one at a time first.
Yeah, do the she's singing.
Just do
the
the singing. Just do the vocalist first.
vocal. No,
我開咗啦
adjust
咗嗰個啦
Okay.
，adjust 咗呢個先，而家開啦。呢個唔開住，嘅時咧呢個先，跟住就呢個先，跟住推上去，跟住就
Jack, I was mapping out the breakouts. But there's an extra box back there later. That has the
Yeah.
Why is it? Because it's
Yes, right. Yeah.
Is there a reason? It's just to get it closer to the
The drums, yeah. So we just added that box.
Okay.
Because it didn't reach all the way.
So it's
係
just
咪睇呢個
睇
㗎？
呢個，然後到呢個到19。
So it's not seeing from here, right? That
That too.
negativity should just see the meter.
Yeah, you want to look at the meter. You want to adjust this
I
thing.
keep seeing
Oh no. So you want to do like okay. So if it's right number 19, right? So you want to look at this right here. Right? So you want to change this so that she's at minus 18 right here. Right? So 19, right? Oh, he's not singing right now. Yeah. So you want to do the guitar. Right? So let's see. Guitar.
I'll step away.
Keep playing. Ryan, keep playing.
Seaweed is always greener on somebody else's
So in a keyboard. Okay, so now we have everything kind of set, right? At the right level. Now like mix it so it sounds good. Sound very low energy. So you just want to even bring it up a little higher, maybe to like 150 or something, right? And make sure that all the others, like the bass, like the keyboard, anything that kind of like seeps into her microphone, you don't want it to be mixed with her voice. You want it just to be as close as her voice as possible. Okay? Also, another thing about the equalizer is that, you know how I said that when you start to go above like 0, right? Right, you start to add. I was thinking we add stuff, right? If you go above the fader, above 0, you start to add stuff, right? And you want to try to not do that, right? So if you want someone to sound a certain way using the equalizer, try for the most part to cut things, right? Eliminate things before adding things, right? So what does that mean? So like she has like if her voice is maybe too much on the higher frequency, right? You want to cut her. If you want, let's say, if you want to bring up her high without adding it, right? What you could do is you cut the lower parts. So her higher parts will sound a little more clear. Right? So that's kind of like where you want to go. So you want to cut more than add. There's of course there's places where you'll have to add, but as a general rule, you want to cut more than you add. And I mean, you could just, if you don't know what frequency, you can just basically like, sweep it, and then you can hear, as you sweep, like, oh, it sounds better here. Right? So there's a last button right here called the Q. Okay. The Q. Remember how I said that when you lower it or raise it, it affects the things around it, right? This knob allows you to adjust how much it influences around it. So you can shrink it so it's less, or increase it and how it'll be wider. Okay. So why would you use like narrower or a wider? So wider is like, if you go too wide, it starts to influence so much that like the effect what you're trying to do is probably not going to be effective. Why would you want a thinner one, right? So this comes into play with like feedback, okay? So feedback, if you can hear it, if your ears are trained enough, you can hear what frequency is coming out of the speaker, right? So let's say, right? That sound, if you can hear what that noise is, what frequency that is, you can go on the equalizer, go to that frequency and cut it. Yeah. Right? And then you can take out that feedback, even though the gain is that high. You can just cut that and then eliminate that narrow band of noise. Right? So that's why you would have something like that thin to the left, but like that. You can be like, oh, maybe it was like that. Right? Like I don't even know what. But I mean, like right now, it's like you can eliminate some of it, right? Right? Just by being a narrow, just be a narrow, right? So, I mean, that's like kind of a last resort type of thing. You want to be able to control all that stuff in the front first. The gain is correct, all that stuff, and then if you have like the gain structure set, feedback shouldn't even be a problem, especially in this room. Yeah, it should be not really an issue. Yeah. Maybe in the other building, maybe, but this one probably not. Yeah. Okay. So you can, why don't we practice? So you can basically just listen to how they sound and you just adjust it to how you want it.
Okay.
Yeah? So let's try that.
Oh, wait, how do you go back to like, because this is what height, yeah.
Oh, it's just flat? Just a little flat here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just be, yeah.
But in the beginning, it has already, it has something there. Like, does it automatically set
So-
up that way? Or
So if you save it, if you save the scene, it'll save every channel to however you've set it up from before. So
Oh, okay.
if you do let me just go back.
But is it how the system automatically
No.
set up?
That's what someone did it. So,
Oh, okay.
a user did that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
佢哋本嚟有 set
Yeah.
到。
So you can do. I mean, they have like if you go to the library, they have some presets you can do starting from here. So let's see. So like what is it? Like male vocal, whatever. I don't know what this is. And then it'll do that for you. Right? So you can do like a starting point, but it's up to you. It's just a library. Yeah. Because they don't know what it sounds like in here, so it's just so you can just do whatever you want.
OK，跟住佢呢個你開咗佢，跟住就 cut 咗呢啲，跟住就通上去呢度，中間。哦，佢話要呢個。Do you usually like set like the HPF like in somewhere around like or?
So you can always just start it somewhere, right? And then adjust it as you're doing your sound check.
So is it best to isolate
So
each person?
yeah, so what you can do is you can use that Q button, right?
Right.
You plug in the headphones, listen to the headphones. But that would be the exact dry signal from the stage.
Right, because we're hearing all of them, so
But
it
legal-
gets a little cloudy.
呢個我哋好難搞到啊，太難。It's too difficult for us to even touch.
We can just use a default. You know, like a female.
Female default.
No, I mean, so it just takes time, like as you're doing like your practice, like someone needs to be back here kind of listening and just like constantly adjusting.
You said when we need to like just you know someone who should do it through the headphones.
You can do the headphones, yeah. But I mean, it'll get faster. It'll get faster.
Kind of like subjective thing.
Yeah, it is very subjective. Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
sound man.
But whatever you want it to sound like, whatever you think sounds good, that's what you do. But that's just like these are the tools that you like.
For me, it's just like, so, like my voice, right?
Stuff is already there. We just need to like organize it and put it in the right order, and then there you go, right? And it's we can create the whole presentation in like 15-20 minutes versus like 2 hours from before, right? Okay. So how ProPresenter works is that each element in the service or each item like song, announcements, they all get their own file, right? So everything is contained within that. So like a song has all of their the lyrics in it all together. The verses, if you have verses, they're all together. Announcements, they're all together. They're not in this one giant continuous like slideshow like how PowerPoint used to have, right? So so in our service we have maybe like 6 main things that we cover, right? We have like the called worship. We have songs. We have the announcements. We have the reading the Bible verse, Bible reading. We have either a message. We have a response song, right? Offering, the benediction, some of the videos, and then we have the closing. But we do have maybe like 5 or 6 things that we always do every single week, right? So for us, we have it here. The elements are labeled using a number, right? So if you look at our program, right, it's just in the same order every single week. So if you look at our planning center, they're labeled in the same way. Okay, so our first element is the adoration and praise, which is like the call to worship, right, and the opening hymn, right, and then we have the next one would be like a scripture reading, or the pastoral prayer, right? That's labeled too, and then the commitment and commission is the hymn response, and then we have a welcoming slide. We have the benediction and doxology and closing. So those are like the main items that we have every single week. Okay. So the stuff that you need to do is to change some of those things to reflect what's going on that week, and then do the songs, right? And do the announcements. Okay, it's really easy. So all you do is set up a playlist to go through each of the elements in order, right? So you can select one, adoration and praise. All you do is just drag that to the playlist, and then it'll add it to the playlist. So we have each week we kind of make our own new playlist, which is right here. This is the list of playlists that we have. So you can just go ahead and, if you want a new one, you can add a new one here, right? A new playlist, and I'll create a blank one, and all you have to do is just add those main elements into here, edit the ones you need to edit, right, and then fill in the rest with the songs. Okay. So now the slides, how the slides work. So the slides, each slide has different layers to it. Okay. So at the very top layer are the words. Okay. So any of these kinds of things at the very top. Right. You can control every layer whether you see them or not. Okay. So the top is the words, and then behind it is the background or the video, right? And then there's some other stuff that you don't really need to know, but basically it's just the words and the background and our video. Okay. So if we look at this, so we have this. Okay, so we have these two things, right? We have the background and we have a set of words, right? So you can control. You can control the words and the background. Like you can add them or take them away, right? So if you want to just take away the background, you can just delete the background and it'll just be blank, right? If you want to take away the slides, which is the words in the front, I'll take away the slide. Okay. So let's say like you start this show, and you start to progress, right? Since these don't have any backgrounds, it disregards what's back there. So it'll just keep the background that you have set at the beginning, and it'll just use that until some other thing gets in its way. Let's change. Okay. So you can change the background on the fly by clicking any of these items. Right? You can just change it if you want, and then you can click on it to add the slides to it by just clicking on the slide that you want. Okay? You can just change it, right?
You can show the output on the screen, right?
I'm sorry?
You can show the output on the screen, right?
Okay.
So if you put a background in front of something that is just text and has no background, it'll automatically take the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need to set it up or anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So one of the main features is the songs. Okay. So songs are super tedious to do, right? To get the lyrics, to put them in order. And so Purpose Center has this thing called Song Select, where you're allowed to use this database to import the songs, to import the lyrics, right? And then it'll create them all for you.
It's only for English.
Sorry, only for English. So it's a lot easier for us.
Chinese. Yes. There's no Chinese database.
I try to find it.
You already have most of the database. Just use
I
part of the
think
database.
my database.
Yeah, your database. Your database is already there.
Sell it to them.
It's already there. So let's say if you want to, so
Just change the language.
because you don't want to type anything, because like the thing is like with doing stuff for church, typing is like the worst, right? It's the worst because you'll make mistakes, right? You'll have typos, whatever. It's out of control. So you want to just get it from somewhere. So
Oh, that's what they do. Copy and paste.
okay, so you can find a song here. You can go to song site and find a song.
Not reckless love. What the heck?
Reckless Love.
My favorite, right?
Okay. Okay, right here. So it has it.
Corey.
So you can click on it, and it'll give you a preview of like the lyrics, right? So you can click on import, right? And then what you want to do is when you import, you want to edit it. Okay. So this is kind of the view where when you want to edit how the song is grouped. So you have the groups are like verse 1, verse 2, chorus, pre-chorus, stuff like that. Like you want to label each slide or each section so that the program knows which sections to group together, and it's easier to lay out at the end.
So you're customizing it for how we're going to pull it in?
You can a little bit,
Okay.
yeah. So it already has, like, it knows which parts are which already. But sometimes, like the way we have our template, it doesn't fit. Like you need to split like one thing into two different slides, right? So like this chorus, right? This chorus is like too long, right? So you could edit it here, right? Add another line, right? Right, and then add a new slide. Okay.
How'd you do that just now?
So you you go to the line, put the cursor on the line that you want, and insert line break, insert slide break.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So it'll put a little break right there.
So it's now starting up in 2 slides.
Yeah, in 2 slides with the same group, right? Okay. So after you do all that, it also has like all the correct like copyright stuff that you need to have anyway. So. Okay. So now we have Reckless Love, right here, but it doesn't have an order. It's just showing you all the slides that are available. Okay. So let's say if we want to use this song in our set, right? So we add it to our playlist, right? So we have the songs, but the thing is like the musicians aren't going to sing the first one, chorus, verse 2, bridge, and then whatever. That doesn't make any sense, right? And if you left it this way, it would be difficult to kind of like, oh, where are they? Let's go back here. Let's go back there. I don't know where they are. So you want to put it in an order, in the same order that they're going to sing it, right? So how do we edit that order? We have this button here that we can select the arrangement. Okay. And so at default there is no arrangement, so we have to make a new one. So we add a new arrangement here from this little gear, right? So you can name this arrangement or whatever, right? So this allows you to set the arrangement that you want, right? Okay. So the arrangement right now is verse 1, chorus, verse 2, bridge. Right. So let's say that they actually want verse 1, chorus, or verse 1, verse 2, right? Chorus, and then maybe verse 1, verse 2, and chorus, and then at the end bridge, and then chorus at the end, right? So basically, you just have to put these little pills, right, in the right order, and then ProPresenter will fill in the rest for you in the right order, right? And it'll save it that way for you too. So the next time you come in, right, all you have to do is select the arrangement that you want, right? So if we go back to like master, right, there'll be no arrangement, right? So you come in, you select the song you want, you put it in the playlist, you come here, select the arrangement, and that's it, you're done. Because this is the same way you started singing last time. Right? So it's repeatable, it's, you don't have to like really think, right? So, because I know Brian, whenever he selects songs, he pretty much sings the exact same way as he did before. So it's exactly the same. So you can put like arrangement, Brian's arrangement, right? So like each time you come here, you put it in there, Brian's arrangement, and then that took like, 5 seconds to do versus, how we did it before. So it's really easy. Okay? So those are for the songs. Okay, for the verses. Okay? So we have ProPresenter has a way to get Bible verses into slides too. Right? So you don't want to type or copy and paste anymore, right? Because who likes to do that? So we can go to Bibles here.
The most common
right?
one, which is good.
Okay. So let's say like John 3:16, right? Okay. So that one verse. Okay. So we have for our church we have a template, right? So it has the verse, one verse per slide, and then it has the reference at the bottom. Right? That's just kind of how Charlotte did it. So after you get the verses that you want, and you see that it kind of looks okay. You're given 2 choices here, I think, right? Or 3. Okay. So you can either save it as a document, so you can take all these slides and just make a new document, right? As just a standalone. You can copy the current document, so take all the slides, just put it in whatever document that you're already in, or put it in the playlist. So what I usually do is I go to the scripture document, right? The scripture reading document. I click on the first one and I just copy to document, and then it'll add that to the end, which is right here. Right? Okay, but that looks terrible, right? Then I think because they maybe changed the template here. So what's also good about ProPresenter is that you can set up templates, right? So you can have a consistent look all the time, right? So like all of these title elements have the same template, which is like this italics and then this like this bold at the bottom, right? So if you were to change it in any way, or you wanted to add something to it, you can right click on it, go to template, right, and then find the right template, which is this one, title service template, right, and then it'll just stamp it as that, yeah. So this one here, which is the verses. What is this one? I don't know which one it is. So.
What's reading?
Oh, this one, right? Like that. So, right. So it'll go back to that template, right? So these are different. This is a different template, I've noticed. So, and these look like they are different too. So this looks like it is a different template than these, or than the first one. So maybe someone's changed the template because the font, it looks a little different. But regardless, right?
I wanted it bolded.
Yeah, it's fine, which is fine. So
There should be 2 templates though.
so that's pretty much it.
Quick question. On the
Yes.
filters, like this, you have like 10 verses. Is it gonna split up itself?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll do per verse. It'll try to do per verse, and if it can't, it'll do 2 slides for 1 verse if it's too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you need to show like how to make a new playlist, how to make a
Yeah.
new template, how to make?
So the new playlists are from here, right? You do that from here. You just click on new playlist and just rename it. To create a template, let's say like you have you've made let's see, like this one here, right? You can I think you can. Remember. I'll show you. How do you make a new template?
You just need to save it. Just go to template. And
Goes
then,
from there.
and then you can just add it down here. at the slide to template. So
Oh, okay.
wherever
Oh, I
you
see.
have a-
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, right there.
You just didn't output it.
Mhm.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Or you can create a new template group.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wait, so what does she do?
New template.
Oh, new template. Yeah.
Up here?
That's the same menu. So
Oh.
yeah. So this menu has the previews too.
So when you create every week, you just go to, you copy the previous playlist and rename it, or
No, I just make a new playlist and I just
And then
drag
drag
it in.
the
Yeah.
things, okay.
Mhm, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not fake. I think that's just how
so that's the playlist section, and then what's above it?
This the
The
library. Yeah.
oh, the
all,
library.
all your documents are in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it has,
they're set up as documents.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So each of these elements is a document. So basically, like songs, like presentations, like sermon stuff, sermon notes.
Okay.
All the title elements are in there. So all of our title elements are numbered, so they're at the top, right, from 1 through 6. So you can find them very easily, and then just put them in. And they're labeled as the same way as our bulletin.
But they're blank. There's nothing in
No,
there.
there's it because we keep using them, so they're just basically the same one that we used from last week.
Okay.
So you just change the information
Whatever's
again.
inside, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like big again.
So it's very little that we change though, you know, because it's like just some references that we change, the call to worship we change, and the hymns that we change, and that's it. It's not that much. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
How do you do a video? Like every video is gone.
Okay. So a video is the same thing. It's another element, right? So so let's see here. Let's see, I have a video here.
Is it another folder?
Okay, like this men's retreat one, right? So you want to do it at the announcements, right? So you can just drag it in, right? So there's a couple things that you need to be mindful of when you play a video, is that ProPresenter can play videos like as a loop, right? Because if you have a background, right, it'll just continuously just play like the 10 seconds or whatever. It's like moving backgrounds or whatever, right? So you don't want that to happen here, right? So you can click on this eye, right? And what you can do is you look at the right here, and then behavior.
So like this once.
Yes, it goes once, yeah, instead of looping.
You mean right now?
And then how does the sound work with that?
So the sound is from here.
PC.
PC, yeah.
You need both of them?
Next one. Oh, okay.
Some Sundays, I don't know, the PC, there's like volume coming out.
Oh, really?
Of the actual computer.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's like
I think it's just some noise when it's coming out.
I was actually
Yeah, there's
asking
no
about
audio coming from the computer.
how to say this.
the PCC look already has green signal.
Well, I think it's playing a video.
Oh, you're playing video.
Yeah. So that's it.
So when it's right here as a playlist, do you have to keep it like this, or can you drag it? Do you drag it into announcements,
So
or does it?
you can do both. You can do both. You can have it as an element, or you can put it. You can just stick it at the end of this if you wanted to.
How'd you do that?
It's the same way. Yeah. So you can just slide it in.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully
You
we'll
can just do that. Yeah.
yeah, I can do that. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Stop it.
Was you hear that?
11 years.
Feedback.
We actually met.
No, it's just the audio is terrible on this video. It's buzzing, man.
No, the buzzing. There's no audio. Like, when there's no audio coming from the.
See, there's that. It's just feedback.
No, there's no.
It's just the computer just generating
No.
noise.
I checked.
No, I mean like the output is like not clean.
Oh yeah, so it's the cables.
Yeah.